Welcome back to Stu Structures. I am Mark Stewart and you're here for video 5 in the scratch build of Sparky's house, so stay tuned. So welcome back. Like I said, we are here to start building the roofs and getting some supports and things together that'll make this house a little more solid. Sparky's house is coming along really well. I've still got things going on in my personal life, so I'm just going to jump into this and see how far we can get in this week's video. So when we left this last week, this was how the house was standing. And I had mentioned earlier on in one of my earlier videos of this that I was having trouble with some of the roof lines. Now, there's some other things we need to do before we really get to the roof, but looking at these roof lines, I think some of these are right. This one that I did was probably right, but look how thick the roofs are. The further north you go in the hemisphere, the thicker the roofs are. And I do like the pitch that was on this roof like this, but the outer edges stick out a little bit, so in all these, there's a flat wall or a flat ceiling that comes out on the front and rear of this, and then you have this long overhang on all the other edges. And the porch roof comes out, although it doesn't come clear out to where the front porch or deck area is. Then you have this porch over the front side too. And I had put these angles on the roofs the way they are, but with those flat edges that stick out over the front and back of the house, these angles I'm going to have to change them a little bit. And then you have this roof, and where these roofs meet up on the second story of this, one roof kind of overlaps another roof and comes underneath the other roof. And so it's going to take a little bit of doing to make these work right. And I can't just lay a piece of cardboard on the roof and let it overlap and put rafters underneath of it. So this is going to be a little different from what I've done before. But I did set up all the walls so that these will be able to be done that way. I'm just going to have to figure out how to do it all. Now there's one more wall I need to add in here where the second story on the front of the house comes back. The roof line comes down on the side of that. And handling this building, it's a little flimsy right now. So I'm going to take this large square stock and just get some of these main roof beams in place. So I just come back and cut this to length and glue it into place, and that one board makes the roof a whole lot more solid. Then on the right side of this, you can see that other wall that I was talking about. There's just a small angle piece of it that shows coming off the front of this building, but I need to put that in because all the roofs come down and tie into that wall, and this side wall ties into it as well. So I cut the panel for the wall. I cut a couple of pieces that will attach it to the rear of the house, to that front corner of the house, and a couple of squares to tie that in really good. I just come back and glue those two braces on the back of the wall, and I did cut a 45 on the front edge of that wall and put some gray paint on it. And then we'll come back and just glue that wall into place on this front part of the house. And there's a little gap down at the bottom where it meets that first floor, but I'm not really worried about that because the roof will cover that up and this back open area won't be seen. So now that that's in place, that makes the building a whole lot stronger too, but I want to go ahead and put this other roof brace in, and that just really makes everything sound and easier to handle, and that gives me the ridge lines for both of the two main roofs. And I come back and add the same ridge piece into that extra garage stall on the end of the house, and everything's really nice and solid now. So we're going to start working with the roof on this right hand side of the house and work our way across the house. And you can see that there's a flat edge that comes out from this side wall. So I just cut a piece of board that I can lay on top of that wall that comes out flat. and cut the edges back so that the end will set back into the house and set out from the end wall. And then just go ahead and glue that into place. I do put white paint on it here before I do glue it in, because the underside is exposed and is white, and I don't want to have to come back and paint that later. Now where the eaves stick out on either end of that, I just go ahead and cut 4 of these pieces. There is boards that show underneath of the eaves. So, I go ahead and cut these. Now the ends I'm going to have to cut like this at angles, and then I just come back and glue all that into place. I'm just going to do these 2 to begin with on this one side, because I want to experiment with this roof and make sure everything's going to work the way I want it to. Now I need some extra bracing across that roof to support the roof, so I'm just going to take this balsa wood and I'm going to come back and mark about 2 foot in HO strips that I can cut something like rafters out of. Now the sheet's a little long for my ruler, so I've got to mark it in the middle as well, and I'm just going to make 5 of these because I'm going to have to cut a whole bunch of these for the whole house, and 5 should be more than enough to give me as many as I need for this house. So I just come back and cut 5 of these, and I'm ready to start putting these supports into place on the roof. And I just come back and I measure that top beam across the roof and down on the side, and I just do 10 foots on center, and then come back and just cut these so that the board comes flush with the outside edge and the top. Now for the roofing material, I have this just real thick file. It's just a real thin cardboard that I'm going to use. And I cut it to size, and then I go ahead and put these control lines on it for the shingles, because it's just easier to draw them on before I mount the cardboard on the roof. And then once I do that, I just come back and put glue on all those rafters and just glue this flush with all those outside edges. Now I'm getting a start on this other area here. Now the porch roof in this garage also has a flat roof underneath the ceiling, and the garage on the left-hand stall there has the same. So I just go ahead and cut pieces that will work for those flat walls in that, and that's about as far as I got with that in this video. But the other thing I brought with me while I'm on the road this week in Virginia is just everything to make all these shingles. Now this is sped up, so it takes a lot more time than this to cut these. But I had cut these strips previously, and I'm just coming back this week, and every evening I'm just sitting down and cutting a bunch of these, and it'll take me several evenings to cut enough to do the whole roof. But once I do that, then I'll have all the shingles once I have the roof on, and I can just go ahead and start putting those on once the cardboard is glued to the roof. So, I'm just spending the majority of my week just coming through in the evenings and doing this, and I just have tons of these small strips that make it easy to work with, and I'm just putting them in a baggie for the time being to store them until I'm ready to use them, and now I have my shingles. Okay, so there you have this week's segment of Sparky's house build. I'm in Virginia. This trip is taking me longer than I had originally planned, and while I'm here, my time has really been consumed with trying to get these jobs and stuff done. So this was just a narrow week of being able to accomplish a few things on this house. Mainly what I brought with me this trip was, all that roofing. It takes a long time to cut all that shingles and do all that. So I figured every evening I'm just working on that a little bit. I got a few other things accomplished, but not as much as I would have liked to, but I just wanted to get this out there. So, this is a short video for the week to kind of make up for that to some degree. In the middle of the week, probably next Tuesday, I'm going to throw up another video that I put together a little while back. I just came up with some other stuff for my collection of history stuff for the B&O Railroad, a bunch of paper goods. So I just thought I'd show you some of that stuff. So next Tuesday we'll throw that up there, and then next Friday we'll get back. It'll probably be another short video next week, but we are getting close to being done on this house. I mean, I've still got all the decks to do, the roof's obviously to finish, and there's trim and stuff like that. So we've got at least a couple more weeks on this house. We'll see how things go. So anyway, thank you for coming back and sharing this time with me. I do appreciate it, and I hope you're enjoying Sparky's build. I'm happy with it. I think it's just a little oversized, but going for pictures and not having measurements and stuff, you know, I think it looks good, but I think, yes, it probably is a little large. But in any case, I think it's going to be a nice home for the layout, and I hope you'll enjoy it. And it does, you know, if you look at it, you're going to say, wow, that's Sparky's house, if you know what Sparky's house looks like. In any way, like and share this video. There's a lot of people out there that like to know how to scratch build, and you know, some of these little clues that I might give them might help them to learn how to do things or how not to do things. In any case, get out some trains, play around with some scratch building. Just play around with some simple projects and learn and build your craft so that you can build nice structures and stuff for your model layout. And that's what it's all about. It's all about happy model railroading.